Ethan stepped off the shuttle, the soft hiss of the airlock fading behind him. Aurora 9 stretched out before his eyes, a world unlike any he had ever seen. The ground shimmered in faint bioluminescent light, and the tall crystal spires reflected the sun into 1,000 rainbows. Trees with translucent leaves swayed in a gentle breeze, each exhaling tiny motes of light that floated like fireflies. For a human, it was beautiful, but it was also alien. He felt small, almost insignificant, and for the first time in his life, he was truly aware of it. He adjusted his backpack and took a cautious step forward. The colony was a cluster of sleek metallic domes nestled between the forest and the crystal formations. A few humans wandered nearby, checking equipment or observing the glowing plants. Ethan had been assigned to study the local flora, analyze energy readings from the spires, and ensure that humans could safely interact with the planet. But the real assignment, the one he hadn't fully understood until now, was to observe the Leora. The Leora were the native species of Aurora 9. Their bodies seemed almost liquid in their movement, their skin translucent and shifting in soft colors with every thought, feeling, or word they spoke. They walked with elegance, and their eyes glowed faintly like the bioluminescent plants, observing everything with calm intelligence. Humans had never seen anything like them, and most felt uneasy under their gaze. Ethan, however, felt curiosity burn stronger than fear. He heard a soft hum in the distance, a sound that didn't belong to any animal or machine he had known. Following it, he reached a wide clearing where dozens of Leora were gathered. The air was thick with energy, subtle vibrations that tickled his skin and made his hair stand on end. In the center stood a female Leora, taller than the rest, her colors shimmering in a soft gold and violet pattern. Ethan felt drawn to her immediately, though he couldn't explain why. "This is the season of choice," a human researcher whispered beside him. "One human will be selected by a Leora. It is an ancient ritual, and it hasn't happened for decades. We don't know why they choose one human. Some say it's instinct, some say destiny." Ethan frowned. Destiny sounded absurd. He had spent his life believing in planning, in effort and skill, not in fate. But as the Leora began their ritual, moving in flowing, synchronized motions, he felt a strange pull in his chest. The tall female Leora's eyes found him. They were bright violet now, flickering like stars, and she stepped forward. Ethan froze. Other humans in the clearing stepped back, unsure. But the female, the one he would later know as Lyra, kept moving toward him, her gaze fixed. "Destiny picked you the moment my season began," she said, her voice melodic but carrying weight. The words seemed to echo in his mind rather than in the air. Ethan blinked. He opened his mouth, closed it, and then tried again. I don't understand. Why me?" Lyra's skin shifted to a soft turquoise as she tilted her head. "You are different, curious, brave, unafraid. You will learn quickly, and you will see beyond what most humans see." Ethan felt a rush of nervous energy. He had read about the Leora, studied their culture, and trained for first contact situations. But nothing could have prepared him for this. He was not chosen because of skill or merit. He was chosen because of something intangible, something beyond understanding. The humans around him whispered nervously. Some looked envious, others afraid. Ethan felt the weight of every gaze. He was about to step into a world that would challenge everything he knew about life, survival, and himself. Lyra extended a hand, not a simple gesture of greeting, but an invitation. The moment Ethan touched her hand, he felt a strange connection. Images flashed in his mind, memories that weren't his. He saw the Leora history, cities of crystal, great battles with predators that could consume entire forests, rituals that maintained balance between humans and Leora, and a warning: danger was coming. Pulling back slightly, Ethan gasped. What? What was that? Lyra's expression was calm, almost sad. A glimpse of what is and what could be. The bond between chosen human and Leora is not just ceremony. It is protection, it is guidance, and it is understanding. Ethan struggled to process the information. He was trained to study science, not to connect psychically with alien beings. And yet, the visions had left a mark on him, a sense of responsibility he could not ignore. Over the next few days, Ethan began his integration into Lyra's world. She showed him the forests at night, where plants glowed brighter than stars, and rivers ran with liquid crystal instead of water. She introduced him to the other Leora, who observed him carefully, their colors shifting in unreadable patterns. Humans had never been allowed this close before. Lyra whispered to him often, guiding him through lessons about survival, communication, and trust. One day, while exploring the outer crystal spires, Ethan faced his first real danger. A predator, resembling a cross between a serpent and a panther, lunged from the shadows. His training kicked in, but it was Lyra's quick reaction and the bond between them that saved him. He saw the predator through her senses, anticipated its moves, and together, they outmaneuvered it. For the first time, Ethan understood the true power of the connection. He was not just a human in an alien world, he was part of something bigger. But the bond also brought challenges. He could feel Lyra's emotions, her fears and doubts, and they were overwhelming at times. Her past traumas, struggles with rival Leora factions, and anxieties about the season of choice weighed on him. He realized he could not ignore her pain. If he failed to understand her fully, both of them would suffer. Ethan also began to notice human reactions to him. The other colonists were uneasy, some openly hostile, unable to grasp why a human was chosen over them. Whispers of jealousy and fear spread through the colony. But Ethan didn't care. He focused on learning, on understanding Lyra, and on the subtle hints she gave him about dangers he could not yet see. One evening, as the two of them sat near a glowing river, Ethan asked, "Why me? Why did destiny choose me?" Lyra's colors shimmered, shifting between violet and gold. "Because you are willing to see. Most humans are blind to the world beyond themselves. You are not. You can bridge the gap, and that is why the season chose you. That is why destiny chose you." Ethan looked at her, the weight of her words pressing on him. It was impossible to fully understand, but he felt something deep inside, a certainty that he had a role to play in something far greater than survival or exploration. The next day brought another revelation. While traversing the forest, they discovered ancient Leora glyphs carved into crystalline rocks. Lyra explained that they were maps, warnings, and records of battles long past. One glyph showed humans working alongside Leora to fend off a devastating force, a predator species that had nearly destroyed the planet centuries ago. Ethan realized then that humans had always been part of the Leora story, but few had survived or been chosen. A sudden tremor shook the forest. Trees swayed violently, and glowing motes fell like rain. Lyra's hand gripped his tightly. "Something is coming," she whispered, her voice trembling slightly. "The threat. It has returned." Ethan's training took over. He scanned the area, checked readings on his portable devices, and assessed possible danger zones. But instinctively, he also relied on Lyra's senses. Through their bond, he could anticipate movements, subtle shifts in energy, and even glimpses of potential outcomes. He realized that the human's technology alone was not enough. Success depended on trust, collaboration, and creativity. Over the next weeks, Ethan and Lyra trained together. He learned to move silently through the bioluminescent forests, to read the energies of the planet, and to predict movements of creatures far faster and more dangerous than any human predator. Lyra taught him not just survival, but strategy, culture, and the meaning behind rituals humans had long ignored. As the season of choice progressed, Ethan began to understand the depth of what Lyra had said. Destiny had picked him, but it wasn't a gift, it was a responsibility. Every decision he made could affect both humans and Leora. And the bond between them was not just emotional, it was tactical, psychic, and essential for survival. By the end of the season, Ethan was no longer the unsure human who had stepped off the shuttle. He had become a bridge between two worlds, a student of alien wisdom, and a protector of the planet he had only begun to understand. And yet, as he gazed at Lyra, he knew the true challenges were only just beginning. Aurora 9, beautiful as it was, held secrets, dangers, and enemies that would test every skill he possessed. And destiny, as Lyra had promised, had chosen him for reasons he had yet to fully comprehend. But one thing was certain. Ethan was ready to face whatever the planet or its. The morning sun filtered through the crystal spires, scattering light across the bioluminescent forest like 1,000 tiny stars. Ethan stood beside Lyra, feeling the connection between them hum softly in his chest. Since the season of choice had begun, their bond had grown stronger. He could sense her thoughts almost as clearly as his own, a whisper of emotion, a flicker of intention. But now, that connection carried urgency. Something was coming, something dangerous, and both of them could feel it. Lyra led Ethan deeper into the forest, her movements fluid and confident. Ethan followed closely, careful not to disturb the glowing flora beneath their feet. The Leora moved differently than humans. Their steps were precise, deliberate, as if they were part of the world around them rather than separate from it. Ethan had learned to mimic their movements, but every step reminded him that he was still human, still fragile, still mortal. "They will come at night," Lyra whispered, her voice soft but firm. "The Varkans will strike when the energy of the planet is strongest, when the forest itself is alive with light. They seek the nodes, the sources of power hidden in the crystal spires. If they succeed, everything we protect will be lost." Ethan nodded, gripping the handle of his portable scanner. He had been studying the energy nodes for weeks, mapping their locations and learning how the Leora had woven them into the planet's life. The Varkans were a predatory species, dark-scaled and ruthless, with claws that could cut through metal and instincts honed over centuries of hunting. Most humans would have panicked at the thought of facing them, but Ethan felt a strange clarity. With Lyra beside him, with their bond, he could anticipate the enemy's movements and think in ways the Leora might not. They reached the first energy node, a massive crystal formation taller than any building Ethan had ever seen. It pulsed with a soft light, almost like it was breathing. Lyra placed her hand against it, and Ethan felt a surge of energy flow through him. Visions flashed, corridors of light, ancient guardians, battles long past. He realized the nodes were not just energy sources. They were part of a defensive system, designed to protect Aurora 9 from any invader. "We must defend them," Lyra said. "If the Varkans reach even one, they will control the planet's energy. They will destroy us all." Ethan studied the surrounding forest, noting potential ambush points and escape routes. He understood technology and strategy, and though he was human and inexperienced in Leora combat, he had one advantage: unpredictability. The Leora relied on psychic connections, intuition, and long-standing traditions. Humans, however, could think outside those rules, improvise, and take risks that the Leora might never consider. As night fell, the forest glowed brighter than ever, the bioluminescent plants casting shadows that danced across the crystal spires. Ethan and Lyra moved silently, preparing traps and reinforcing barriers around the nodes. Ethan set up sensors and simple human-engineered devices, small explosives, and energy reflectors that could confuse or trap intruders. Lyra watched him work, her colors shifting between violet and gold in fascination. "You learn quickly," she murmured. "The Leora do not often encounter humans who can adapt so fast." Ethan smiled faintly, brushing a strand of hair from his face. "I've had a good teacher," he replied. Their eyes met, and for a moment, the threat of the Varkans faded. It was just them, two beings from different worlds, working together. But the moment passed. A sharp movement in the shadows caught Ethan's attention. He froze, scanning the darkness. The Varkans were here. Their forms emerged slowly, moving with deadly grace, muscles rippling under dark scales that absorbed light. Ethan's pulse quickened, but he forced himself to stay calm. This was the moment they had prepared for. Lyra stepped forward, her skin glowing fiercely, a psychic shield emanating from her that pushed back against the Varkans. Ethan activated his devices, and the traps lit up, sending pulses of light and sound that confused the attackers. The Varkans hissed, striking at illusions, but Ethan and Lyra had planned for this. Together, they lured the enemies toward narrow passages where the crystal spires would amplify their devices' effects. The battle was intense. Ethan moved quickly, improvising as he went. He directed energy pulses, set up barriers, and anticipated the Varkans' attacks by feeling Lyra's thoughts and instincts. Every time a Varkan lunged at Lyra, Ethan was there to intercept, to redirect, to use the environment to their advantage. He realized humans had something the Leora did not: courage that ignored fear, creativity that bent rules, and the ability to see solutions that others could not. Hours passed, the forest alive with light and sound. Ethan could feel fatigue pressing on him, but he refused to stop. Lyra was at his side, her colors dimming and brightening with every strike, her mind and energy intertwined with his. He saw her fear, her determination, and her hope, and it gave him strength. He was no longer just a human. He was part of a team, part of a bond that transcended species. Finally, the Varkans began to retreat, their numbers thinned, their attacks disorganized. Ethan and Lyra pressed forward, securing the remaining nodes and ensuring the energy flows remained stable. The forest quieted, the bioluminescent light returning to its gentle, natural rhythm. They had won, but Ethan knew this was only the beginning. Aurora 9 was safe for now, but the Varkans would return. Lyra turned to him, her skin glowing softly in shades of violet and gold. "You were right," she said, almost smiling. "Humans are remarkable. Your mind, your courage, your heart. It is unlike anything the Leora have known." Ethan felt a warmth spread through him. For years, humans had struggled to be seen as capable by other species, often underestimated and dismissed. And yet here he was, standing on an alien world, having protected it alongside a being far older, wiser, and stronger than himself. Humanity's resilience, ingenuity, and courage had made a difference. The following days were filled with rebuilding and learning. Ethan helped the Leora strengthen defenses, integrate human technology, and prepare for potential threats. He continued to explore the forests, discovering hidden wonders, crystal lakes that amplified thought, trees that communicated through light patterns, and creatures that shifted colors to blend into the environment. Every discovery reminded him how vast and beautiful the universe was, and how much humans had to offer in understanding and adapting to it. Lyra taught him more about Leora culture, about their history, their values, and their fears. Ethan listened, asked questions, and shared human stories in return. He told her about Earth, about human resilience, and about the determination that had allowed his species to survive despite countless challenges. Lyra listened, fascinated. Humans were unpredictable, and that unpredictability was powerful. One evening, standing on a crystal cliff overlooking the glowing forest, Lyra turned to him. "Destiny picked you the moment my season began," she said again. This time, Ethan understood fully. It was not just chance. He had been chosen because humans brought something unique, something vital: courage, adaptability, creativity, and heart. Without him, the Leora might have struggled to survive the Varkan's attacks. Without humans, the nodes might have fallen. Ethan looked at the sprawling forest below, the energy nodes pulsing faintly in the distance. He realized that the bond he shared with Lyra was more than survival. It was a partnership, a bridge between two worlds. Humanity had proven itself, not through strength alone, but through determination, ingenuity, and an unbreakable spirit. As the stars began to shine over Aurora 9, Ethan and Lyra stood side by side, knowing that challenges would come again. But for the first time, Ethan felt truly at home, not just on the planet, but in a role he had never imagined. He was a protector, a learner, a bridge. He was a human, and that, he realized, was enough to shape destiny itself. The bond between them deepened, subtle yet unbreakable. They trained together, explored together, and prepared for whatever the universe would throw at them next. Humans might have been newcomers, fragile and limited in strength, but Ethan's courage, ingenuity, and willingness to embrace the unknown had earned him a place among the Leora, a place that no other human had ever held. Aurora 9 glowed softly under the twin moons that rose into the sky. The bioluminescent forest shimmered, and the crystal spires reflected the light of distant stars. Ethan felt the pulse of the planet beneath his feet and the pulse of Lyra's mind within him. They had faced danger, survived together, and proved that humans had value far beyond what others might believe. And as the night deepened, Ethan knew this was only the beginning. Humanity's journey in the stars, its bond with other species, and its courage to face the unknown had only begun, and destiny, as Lyra had promised, had picked him for this very reason. Ethan smiled. The future was uncertain, dangerous, and vast, but he was ready. He had Lyra, he had the bond, and he had humanity. And in that combination, the universe itself might just find something it had never seen before: the courage, creativity, and resilience of the human spirit shining brightly across the stars inhabitants would throw at him.